Good afternoon and thank you for joining us for KREM News First at 4. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Whitney is off tonight. A shocking scene in Coeur d'Alene this morning when a baby just hours old was found abandoned at an apartment building. Tonight, police are still searching for the baby's mother. KREM 2's Cody Proctor is live from the police department right now with what we know about this developing situation. Cody?
Well, Mark, it was certainly not something that you typically find when you're just trying to head out the door to go to work. But according to Coeur d'Alene police, that's exactly what happened to one person this morning when they found that baby left on a doorstep. Now, according to Coeur d'Alene police, they responded around 6 o'clock this morning to the area of Hanley Avenue and North Corsells Parkway after they got the call about the abandoned newborn. The child was reportedly born just hours before and found wrapped up in a towel and left in an outside stroller. Medical crews took the baby to Kootenai Health to be examined. Sergeant Jared Renault with the Coeur d'Alene police say he hasn't received an update on the baby's condition at this time, but says this morning they didn't appear to have any issues of concern. As it turns out, Idaho, by the way, is a safe haven state and has been one since 2001. According to the Idaho Safe Haven Act, safe haven spots include hospitals, physicians, and fire stations if personnel are on duty. Kootenai County Fire and Rescue is a safe haven, and while the fire chief says they've never had an infant dropped off in his time there, that doesn't mean they're not prepared for the potential of it happening.
And obviously today's events will probably prompt us to have another discussion with all of our men and women at the stations to just remind them that this could happen, and if it happens, this is how we react to it and what should happen.
Now, according to Coeur d'Alene police, detectives are currently searching for the baby's birth mother or any biological relatives. Sergeant Renault says they're trying to find the mother just to talk to her and find out the circumstances of what led up to making the decision this morning to leave that child on a doorstep. Now, if you have any information about this, you are asked to call Coeur d'Alene police. That number, by the way, is 208-769-2320. Reporting in Coeur d'Alene, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
The dramatic rise in violent crimes that we have seen in Spokane County is not acceptable and has to be addressed.
Today, Spokane regional leaders are reaffirming their message to the community that violent crime will not be tolerated. This comes after the recent shootings in Spokane, one of which left an officer injured last Sunday. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley pressed county and city leaders on what steps they're taking to stop the violence and drive-by shootings in particular. She joins us live in the studio tonight with more. Amanda?
Well, Mark, Spokane's regional leaders and local law enforcement are all saying enough is enough. They are disturbed by the increase of violence in the community, so they are working together to reduce the gun violence that appears to be plaguing our community. Now, Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward brought forward the latest data from the Spokane Police Department. From January up until last Saturday, SPD has responded to a total of 81 shootings. More than half of that total is drive-by shootings. Now, at this rate, Mayor Woodward believes we're on track to surpass last year's total of shootings, which she says was the highest in 6 years.
Criminals who perpetuate violence in our community know no boundaries. That's why we are here with our regional partners, to go after those who are wreaking havoc in our neighborhoods, on our streets, and in our communities.
Now, Sheriff Ozzie Knezevich blames state lawmakers for taking away tools from law enforcement that help keep violent offenders off the streets. Meantime, the Board of County Commissioners just gave the Sheriff's Office $100,000 to fund deputy overtime. The mayor of Spokane Valley said she will be asking City Council to allocate $100,000 as well to law enforcement overtime. Now, Spokane Mayor and Police Chief recently formed a violent crimes task force in response to the uptick in shootings. And I asked how they are tracking the group's progress in addressing the violence here in Spokane. I'll share their answer tonight at 5. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. We are tracking new details about the shooting that sent a Spokane police officer to the hospital on Sunday. Officers were responding to several drive-by shootings in North Spokane when one officer was shot in the head and in the leg. New court documents show the suspect's getaway car, a Chrysler 300 right here, was stolen and had been carjacked at gunpoint just the day before. Documents also showed that police saw a large quantity of drugs in the car, specifically Mexies, which are counterfeit OxyContin pills with fentanyl. The suspects in this case remain in jail. The officer was released from the hospital and is recovering at home. Meantime, in Idaho, police arrested a suspect in connection to a deadly shooting in St. Mary's yesterday. Idaho State troopers arrested 23-year-old Lonnie Lehman in the Calder area of Shoshone County. Shortly before 11 o'clock yesterday morning, Benewah County Sheriff's deputies and the St. Mary's Police Department responded to reports of shots fired at the Ridgeview Apartments. 23-year-old Moses Shear was shot and killed. Officers are still investigating the case. Well, this morning, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a ruling curbing the Environmental Protection Agency's ability to fight climate change. The court sided with a group of Republican-led states and coal mining companies in a decision that could have broad implications for the environment. It limits the EPA's capacity to broadly regulate carbon emissions from existing power plants. Governor Jay Inslee responding this afternoon.
We will need the Biden administration to be as creative as possible to use other laws that we may be able to use to restrain coal-based pollution.
President Joe Biden called the ruling a devastating decision, and Justice Elena Kagan, writing a dissent for the liberal wing, said the court has stripped the EPA of its power to respond to the most pressing environmental challenge of our lifetime. Meantime, Representative Kathy McMorris Rodgers coming out in support of the ruling today, saying, quote, "The SCOTUS decision today confirmed EPA has been acting outside of its statutory authority when issuing overreaching rules on the nation's power sector." She continued, "This decision is a victory for Article 1 and representative government."
So help me God.
So help me God.
An historic moment in American history today. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson sworn into the Supreme Court. Justice Stephen Breyer officially retired today. Judge Jackson is the 116th justice in history and the first black woman on the nation's highest court. And starting tomorrow, some big changes take effect across Washington state. You will no longer be able to buy magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. If you already own one, it won't be illegal to have it. There will also be more restrictions on manufacturing and selling or buying so-called ghost guns. The law bans people from owning components to build untraceable firearms, as well as buying guns built after 2019 that don't have serial numbers. Here's another big one going into effect tomorrow. There are more rules for businesses that buy catalytic converters. They'll now need to show proof of transaction. Catalytic converters will also have to be paid for with a traceable source like a check and not cash. And finally, Washington license plate fees are going up tomorrow. When you get a new plate, expect to pay $50 instead of $10. For motorcyclists, new plates will go from $4 to $20. And all that money will go toward funding Washington's transportation projects across the state. All right, let's take a quick break from the headlines to talk weather right now, because it started off a bit cooler this morning, but warmed up throughout the afternoon. Let's head on over to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo in the Outdoor Weather Center. Jeremy, the jacket's off. It's a beautiful day, and things are just warming up from here, right?
Yeah, Mark, it's so hot outside, I went and took the beard off as well.
Oh, man, how's that working out?
It feels pretty good.
Okay.
A little bit of a naked face, you know, I don't know what's going on. Wind hits it and I go, whoa, this is weird. But hey, it's summer, so let's live it up. 79 degrees right now. It is quite warm across much of the state. You're in the 80s out in central Washington, mid 70s in North Idaho, and we stay hot and sunny both Friday and Saturday. But as we get into the second half of the weekend, we're talking Sunday, Monday, and that does include the 4th of July. We're going from isolated thunderstorms to scattered showers, and those scattered showers are starting to look a little better. Earlier or yesterday, we talked about the fact that not a lot of the atmospheric conditions were cooperating to give widespread showers. Unfortunately, they're starting to line up. So as we head through the next few days, those isolated storms and scattered showers Sunday and Monday are looking more and more like a thing. But come the 4th of July, we're still talking decent temperatures. Basically what we saw yesterday with a few more spotty showers is really going to be about it. Highs top out in the mid to low 70s during the day, and then as the sun goes down and we all get ready to watch fireworks get shot off, I do think we actually start to dry out a bit. And by the time those fireworks are lit, well, I do think we're down near 60 degrees with a mix of clouds and clear skies, but we should get rid of most of that rain. But I'm actually not crying. It's a man next to me kind of cutting some onions out here. And it's the man of the hour. Oh, now he's switched over to tomatoes. Tom, what you got going on over there?
Let me tell you, my friend,
Let me tell you about this, my friends. We're doing red, white, and blue cheeseburgers.
Ooh.
That's right, 4th of July coming up this weekend. This has been a big favorite. Of course, the red is the tomato, the white is the onion, and the blue is in the blue cheese burgers. We've already formed up some of the patties. We've got a few more to go. Should get about 24 by the time we're done. We'll have your full recipe on this coming up in a few minutes.